You're listening to the Angry Designer Podcast, where we help frustrated graphic designers crush the industry chaos, ditch the social BS, and build badass, rewarding careers that actually pay. Now powered by Wix Studio.
Salute, my friend.
Salute. Cheers.
Chin chin. All right, today, what are we drinking? Jeez, everybody's probably waiting. They're like, what are they drinking this week?
Yeah, what were they doing?
So unfortunately, it's still not bourbon. And it ain't whiskey either, because I'm seeing all this weird whiskey stuff showing up on the shelves.
Unfortunately is how you would put that. But
Yes. You're pretty happy. We are trying something called the Ardmore.
Ardmore.
Look at this. It's a Scotch Highland single malt Scotch whiskey. You know, this can is just beautiful. Look, it's got like the crow or the copper bird here. It's got like the island. Probably the island of Ardmore. It looks good. It caught my eye, the package. And, you know, it smells great.
Smells
and
awesome.
I saw something that said it was lightly peated, which made me smile.
Yes, yeah. Well,
So here, cheers to you, my friends, to the Ardmore.
Yes.
Oh, I like the way it smells. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's actually pretty nice, isn't it?
I'm not going to lie to you. I have had this before. Yes.
Oh, you have?
I have.
And
I loved it.
this is nice. It's
a
not
good price point too.
It's
I
not.
think.
Yeah, it
Yes.
is. It's actually a really good price too,
Yes.
and it's only lightly peat. I mean, I
it's nice.
personally like heavy. I like heavy peat. I like the smoker. If it tastes like I'm like sucking on a log after a night of campfire. If it doesn't have that, it's not going to get to me. But this is nice. I can't
very
complain.
nice.
This is
No.
such a nice, mild.
Yeah.
Wow, I could see everybody drinking this.
Really, really good. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
got a nice aftertaste. There's no fire going down your belly after you drink it, which is good. So
Yeah, you know what this leads to though. Unfortunately, a second glass, a third glass, because it's such an easy drinking Scotch.
I know that's the worst.
You
thing
know,
can
I
have.
think this would be a perfect Scotch for somebody trying to get into this,
Totally.
right? Because again, it's not overwhelming in any specific. It's not a hard drink.
Nope.
It's not it doesn't have such a confusing palate that you're not sure what you're tasting. Lightly peat.
Yep.
Like it almost touches all the perfect Scotch notes that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but not an overabundance of anything in
No.
specific.
It doesn't.
Yeah,
And
wow.
it's sweeter too, I find.
It is,
I
it
think
is.
there's a kind of a sweetness to this too, but the sweet and smoky is pretty nice.
Wow, you know what? I didn't think I would talk about it as much as I did. But yeah, I highly recommend this one for anybody who wants something different. All right.
Yeah.
So yesterday we had a pretty cool interview, didn't we?
We certainly did.
So for anybody who might or might not, we actually interviewed Bill Gardner, who is the founder of the Logo Lounge books. And I mean, we're talking logo historian on so many levels.
Big time.
You know, this guy has probably seen with his own eyes over 1 million logos, studied, helped choose, helped define what goes in the book, what doesn't. But then he's also put all of this incredible, valuable information on his website. Like Logo Aficionado doesn't even cover what this guy actually, you know.
I thought he said at one point it was like almost 450,000 logos he's got on his site.
On his site.
Yeah.
Yes. Because
Which is
everyone
insane.
that goes, what about the ones he looks at? Does that include the ones he looks at?
I don't know whether it's that.
Yeah.
But,
Good point.
but still, I mean, that's a lot of fucking
450.
logos.
And it's not all at once. The nice thing is they're categorized going back from like 20 years. So you can kind of see the evolution. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I learned some amazing things talking to him yesterday.
Wow.
Okay. And one of the most amazing things I learned, I'm going to share with you guys. But first, I'm going to tell you to sign up for our newsletter.
Yeah.
The anger management for designers, okay? And it's a newsletter, a lot of everything. Go check it out, angermanagementfordesigners.com. And it's also, the link is also in our social. So you guys got to do that because you're going to get a lot of this, but in newsletter format, okay? Once a week, it's an easy read. We're going to try to grow this. But needless to say, back to our regularly scheduled program. I learned some awesome things talking to Bill yesterday, but one of the things that actually blew me away was the importance of being able to forecast, okay, the future, you know, by watching what's been trending. And that's not trendy.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not talking about fads.
He made that very clear.
We're not talking about fads. Yes. But what he was saying is, if you see over the past 5 years, lines of logos gradually get thicker, you know that in the future, you could almost predict they're going to keep going thicker until it's to the max, right? Bad example, but that got me thinking, okay, the importance of looking back a few years, comparing it to where we are now, because we can only track what's past. The future is a guess.
Yep.
But there's a trajectory. Okay. And this is a long way of saying that I took this approach based on technology, based on all of our fears over the past couple of years, after seeing how fast technology has progressed in AI. Yeah. Okay. And I kind of looked into the future.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was trying to figure out what design is actually going to look like in the future and what designers are actually going to have to do in the future. Because, this AI path has played out like exactly how I thought it would.
Okay.
Good. And I did years ago. I said, listen, it's not going to replace us. Yep. It's awesome. It's scary, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
But then I've seen other scary parts of the world, like media and technology, right? And how it affects designers. And I see a trajectory going into the future. And I thought, you know what? Let's actually talk about this shit today. Because, ultimately designers need to wake the fuck up. Okay? Because the big thing, that what it comes down to is what has got us to this point as designers is not going to take us into the future.
Absolutely.
Because, while design isn't going to change and how people need designers, everything that we do, everything that we use, all of our tools, this is all changing. Not to mention technology is changing, not to mention how people are ingesting media is changing. Yeah. There is so many changes coming our way in the next 5 to 10 years that I don't think anybody, saw coming.
No.
Okay. And it's fucking mind blowing. And again, I see this all across the board, not just with, how Google basically imploded, and browsers aren't even a thing, anymore, let alone in another year or two. Yep. But, web pages, social, the devices that we use, new devices on the horizon, there's going to be so much change that, this is literally, 1984, 100%. But, unfortunately, 50 years later, Orwell got it a little late. He messed up that date, but boy, did he call what it was that we were going to be living through. Yeah, honestly,
totally.
It's, it's AI absolutely isn't the threat, even though that's a hot topic right now. It's not the threat. It's really not the threat, right? The threat is not realizing that literally what has got us to this point as designers, what unfortunately a lot of us are going to school for, and what we know as the now in our job is not what the future is going to be.
Yep.
And, you can either be in denial.
Yep.
And, maybe have another, 5 to 10 years max in your business.
Stay in that little comfort zone.
Stay in that comfort
zone
in your box until you're obsolete.
Yep, until you're done.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, or prepare to evolve. Okay. Because that's the big stuff that's happening. And that's what we're here to talk about today, right? Like, design in the future is not going to be about making things look pretty anymore by our hands.
Right.
The way we do it right now, right? It's not going to be about aesthetics. It's not going to be about, having our Behance or our Instagram or our TikTok accounts all about, look how good, and look what I designed and how awesome this looks because I did it by my hands, right? It's not going to be like, waiting, for the project brief from customers, right? Because let's face it, I think on their end, it's going to get less and less and less, right? And again, it's not about being just a graphic designer because I don't think the designer of the future is just going to be a graphic designer, right? Like, honestly, I think that there's so much coming down the pipeline that what we're doing now with the tools that we're doing now is going to change so drastically.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, you don't want to. You don't want to be stuck. You don't want to get run over by this. You got to adapt.
Well, it's true, right? It's absolutely, it's morphing. Design on a whole is morphing into something so much bigger than what we're living and breathing right now. That honestly, the value that we're going to be bringing to the table, to, customers, to the design community, right, is really dependent on, are we going to evolve?
Right.
Or not.
Yeah.
Okay. designers had to evolve, talking to Bill, right? Like in 1980, when they went from litho to computer, right? He's like, oh, great. Like now we're gonna, everybody's going to be able to do church bulletins. He said,
Then he was like, I don't know whether we want to do that.
Did we really ever want to do that shit? And that's what it really comes down to, right?
Yeah.
I get that there are some logo masters out there right now, but maybe not everybody wants to do, logos and be a logo master, right? Yeah. There might be other aspects of this space that we enjoy more than others. It's just by proxy. It's one of the things that we have to do. Yeah. But I don't think that that's going to be, a thing in the future. I think the expectations from customers are going to be different.
Yeah.
Okay. Some of the things for sure is, like we always preach that customers want strategic thinkers. Absolutely, right? Yep. That's not going to change, right? They want us to think strategically because so much of this space is going to change that they're not going to want to have to navigate that as well as how to improve their business.
Exactly.
They're going to want to rely on people like us who understand the new media space, okay? Yeah. They're definitely going to want designers who understand data, okay? Because this is important. Data is changing and it's going to be, it's changing so much because it's now not just about web pages, right? Like they're capturing data from QR codes. They're capturing data through print. Okay. And they're going to want people to understand data both online, but then also in real life and how to actually, make those two worlds combine because it's going to allow us to start creating more smart, graphics, smart designs, smart works, things that are actually designed to convert.
Right. More targeted stuff kind of thing.
Targeted stuff with intent and that will convert better, right? So it'll be less rounds of revisions.
Yes.
Customers aren't going to ask if we work with AI. Okay, they're not. They're going to ask us,
better be,
how do you work with AI?
Yeah.
Are you just like using one AI engine and just, logging in and just prompting from chat? Or do you use a library of them for different things, because they're going to be trying to suss out how good we are, how up to speed we are with the way everything's going. Yeah. This is for sure a thing that's going to happen, right? They're going to want us to direct, the path, direct the future, direct the project, not give all these revisions over and over and over. Like they're going to honestly want faster iterations and, to revisions. They want designers who understand how business operates, not just the design community. Okay. And they want somebody who also knows their market, not just, our industry design. Okay. Like face it, designers are going to expect more from us because the landscape is going to be moving at such a crazy pace in the future that I think that the designers now who complain about having to do copy or who complain about, oh, it's not my job, I'm just about, they're not going to make it. Plain and simple. Because if they're complaining now about being asked to do extra, right? Which is, oh, that's a copywriter's job. Or that's the production guy's job. Fuck, guess what? You got a whole load of hell coming in from you in the future.
Big time. Big time. Yes, you got to. That always astounded me. It was just like, people who were saying, no, that's not my job. No.
Yeah,
it is your job. Your job is to help the client achieve their goals.
Ultimately, right? You're part of a team.
Yes,
right. You're part of a team. You have to contribute to the team. You have to, pull up your pants and actually learn how to do some things that you maybe didn't know how to do before.
Yeah, and it's good for you. It's good for you to do this.
Heaven forbid, right?
Yeah, I know.
So, needless to say, what I did is I created what I think 10 different things of 10 different what we can expect design will actually look like tomorrow. Okay. There might be a whole bunch of other on top of this, that we can explore. Really? This list is just me kind of going through everything that I've seen in the past and kind of seeing what the trajectory looks like in the future. Right. And so what I have is a list of what we can expect as designers that design will look like in the future. The design will look like tomorrow. Okay. So number one, we're going to be going from logos to complete living system.
Yes.
Okay. Like if you're just handing off a logo and thinking your job is done, that might be okay now.
Well,
but that's not, I mean, I still don't.
I was just going to say, I think that train has sailed.
But what we're doing in the future is, a logo is not going to be enough.
Yeah.
Right. We're talking a logo that has to scale. It has to be a system that is flexible.
Yes.
Okay. It has to work on so many different contexts. Like right now, we're talking about logos being adaptive. Okay. Well, shit. That doesn't even scratch the surface because we're probably thinking that we're going to have to create logos in motion, which we recommend anyway.
Yeah.
Logos that actually aren't 3D.
Yep.
Okay. Logos that have sound behind them. Okay. Like I think that we're going to have to worry about logos in dark motion, logos that, become alive in augmented reality if it's on a package, right? Honestly, we're going to have to think about logos, as almost like living objects because they are going to have to show up in everything from places that we see like print to like augmented worlds and such. Okay. If you think about it, right? Because this is the future. Yeah. Augmented reality is already out there, right? And it's just creeping up. It's cool as fuck. We are going to be the stewards of this. And so when we start designing logos in the future, we're going to have to start thinking about, an adaptive logo is going to take on a whole new meaning, isn't it?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's true. Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Number 2. Okay. We're going to be designing not just for screens and not just for print, but we're going to be designing for glasses. Okay. And for worlds that you're seeing through. I already have a friend, a designer who actually designs for glasses.
You're talking like the lens, dude, like the Google Lens.
The Meta glasses are a huge thing.
Right.
They have a couple obstacles that they're needing to overcome. But I've got some inside sources that say they've already overcome half of those obstacles. So right now they got some minor things. And then otherwise it's just the whole world is going to be jumping on this. So as designers, we have to start thinking not just about logos flat, okay, and not just designs flat, but, spatial worlds and how the logos are going to show up. If you're walking down the street and you've got these glasses on, right? Because let's face it, as cool as we and attached as we are to our phones, okay, they're trying to replace our phones, okay, with watches, with devices, with glasses, okay? And they're actively trying to replace it. I don't think it's possible, right? But maybe that's because I love my phone. But the reality is, they're actively trying to do this, and the glasses is a real thing. So we're talking about spatial tech is absolutely on the rise, okay? Like, look at what Zuck was trying to build, okay, with his entirely different world offline, okay? So this is a real thing. So, design is going to be about where things exist, not just what they look like on the screen, okay? So we're going to have to start thinking about things like this. We're going to have to start thinking interaction in real spaces. We're going to have to be thinking in 3D. So right now, everything that we're used to designing is very flat.
Yeah.
We're going to be thinking about it like almost 360 around us, right? And there will
a 360 logo.
I'm already seeing, but not just logo, but messages, ads, banners, designs, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be all encompassing. Okay. This is real. And I know this is coming because it's already there.
Yeah.
Number 3, print will still exist.
Yes.
Absolutely it will, right?
Of course.
But hear me out though.
Yeah.
Print is going to become a premium service. Okay. And as it should. Okay.
Yep.
Print's not going anywhere, right? Everything goes digital, but print is going to become more rare and more valuable. Okay. Which is a good opportunity for a lot of designers to kind of still niche down into print.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a need for print because there's always going to be a need for things to be real, to be touched, to be felt, right?
Yep.
Smaller runs of print is still going to be a thing. Screen printing is still going to be a thing, right?
Yeah.
This is going to be massive because as the world starts going more and more digital, there's going to be more and more of a need, okay, for these rare forms of touch, right? And that will be print. So you have to think, custom packaging, things that are tactile, right?
Yeah.
Tactile brand experiences, right? Large outputs.
Yeah.
Print is still going to have a very large future, okay? Just not the print that we know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Large print still going to be around.
Yep.
Okay. Small run print still going to be around. Whether or not large direct mail jobs and things like this, they won't exist as we know them now, but they will once they combine with data. Okay. And then you're going to get smart packaging, smart direct mail. You're going to be getting direct mail that people are going to be able to track if you've read, if you've acted on. This is already there. And I'm trying to work on this with a customer. to know when somebody not only gets a piece, but they act on it, and then they can even get mail pieces thereafter, following up on them, almost like retargeting their experience with direct mail. So instead of, blanketing a city with 1 million different pieces, you're only going to blanket maybe 10% of that city, okay? Maybe 100,000, but then with more meaningful content, personalized content on an ongoing basis. So print is still going to have a future. Absolutely. Awesome. Yeah. Wow. So that's good for you print designers out there.
Yeah.
Guerrilla marketing is still going to have a real life, okay? But we're going to call this Guerilla 2.0, okay? And what I mean by this is, we're already playing with, more interactive QR codes in real environments, okay? Oftentimes, QR codes have made a really big comeback.
Yeah, okay? Yeah, I have noticed that, yeah.
And it's because the technology is more accessible and it's trackable. So now it's going to be a lot more accessible to anybody, anywhere. Augmented reality within posters is going to become a thing. So you're going to see, people living, breathing locally. They're going to see a poster. They're going to click on it. It's going to come alive on their phone. They're going to interact with it, right? It's going to be, real world installations, connecting to digital actions. This is going to be a thing in the future more so than it is because the technology exists now. But again, as a Guerilla item that kind of goes viral in real life, this is a viable thing that's going to happen. So this is cool. Guerilla design is totally evolving with technology. It's definitely not dying.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
All right, designers, let's cut the bull. How many times have you had a killer website design only to watch it fall apart because of code or developer telling you no? Or maybe you've held back from web design altogether thinking it's just too complicated and too technical or totally out of your wheelhouse. Either way, it's time for a change. Wix Studio is designed for designers, removing the barriers that limits your designs. Whether you're tired of developers watering down your ideas or too intimidated by the technical side of web, Wix Studio puts the creative power back in your hands. No code required. With a drag and drop interface that feels designer intuitive, plus no code animations and even AI powered tools, you can create fully custom websites that match your vision. Every pixel, every detail. And if you're worried about the learning curve, don't be. Wix Studio is designed to feel as intuitive as your favorite design tools. Some designers here even say more so. That means you can jump right in and focus on what you do best, designing badass, brand-aligned websites that'll take your business to the next level. So whether you've had enough of developers holding you back or you're ready to finally step into web design, check out wixstudio.com and take control. That's wixstudio.com. Go and take back web design for graphic designers.
Number 5, design is going to meet gaming and take it to a whole new fucking level.
Yes.
We're already seeing this. Fortnite and Roblox, and they're all having sponsorship deals, and you're seeing all this money, creating these worlds and interactive experience with these online games.
Nice.
Well, as the online gaming community grows, so is the sponsorship dollars that are going to be put towards that. So as we start creating brands offline, we have to start planning that a lot of these offline brands are going to end up on game systems, right? Whether we're sponsors, whether we're just background, whether we're in these augmented worlds, in these games.
Yeah.
So designers are going to have to craft these interactive, playful experiences with their customers' brands, right? And again, we're not just talking about static ads, in a game, but interactive elements, having characters in that game that represent brands. There's a huge future for design and gaming. Those two worlds are coming together.
Holy shit. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I'm surprised that it hasn't. Well, no, I guess I'm not surprised.
It has already happened.
I was just going to say, it has. But it's not to the degree of what you're saying.
Absolutely, right? Because now it's happening as sponsorship deals or flat elements, right?
Right.
But all of a sudden,
you're in the game,
interacting with people in the game.
Yes.
So that's going to be a big part of the future. Number 6, sonic branding might actually overtake visual. And what I mean by this, well, think about it, right? I mean, if we actually do move to glasses like we suspect this might actually happen,
there will be an extra.
There's going to be a whole new, so all of a sudden, we're free of something because your eyes are looking in one direction. You're not necessarily looking directly at an ad.
Yeah.
But what about a sound that maybe follows the brand? Okay. This is actually going to be something, big in the future, right? When you tap your card to pay something, okay, well, if there's a branded, merchant account, it might all of a sudden have their own jingle to that's going to make you recognize this brand. And then if that jingle then follows you online, follows you here, follows you there,
you'll know.
Imagine if PayPal had its own, every time you paid for it, had like a
ringy ring thing or
a horse neigh for whatever reason, okay? And you hated it at first, but
now you're like, oh,
there's a PayPal horse neigh, okay? Bad example, but you get where I'm going with this, right?
That's awesome.
Sonic branding is gonna, probably become just as important as the visual part, because I think, people are gonna be so inundated with their own lives that designers and brands are gonna get desperate to capture people's attention.
Yeah.
And they're gonna start doing it in the background with sound, which, it's probably going to drive us all fucking nuts, but I think we're going to get desensitized to it. And so only the key few will come too. So I'm kind of suspecting that, the designers will have part in helping brands come up with what that sound is going to be.
Wow, that's heavy. Holy shit.
Number 7.
Yeah.
I mentioned this earlier, but data is going to end up almost being the design brief in the future, okay? And I'm talking both digitally and in real life, okay? So this way, designers aren't going to be guessing anymore. They're not going to be, guessing what should the call to action be? What should the words be? What should the colors be, okay? Data is going to define all of that for us. We're going to know, based on all the past data, what colors, did better for our customer than other ones. What terms, okay? What the heat map actually reads, okay?
Right.
And again, not just online, but even in real life, which direct mail pieces, converted better than other ones.
Holy shit.
This shit is good because
that's
everything
awesome.
Seems to be data right now.
Yeah.
It's obsessed. We seem to be living in a data obsessed world, and there's almost nothing feels human anymore in this sense. I suspect that this is just going to keep going and it's going to become more programmatic.
Oh, yeah.
And based on that, I think data is going to become a huge part of our design briefs moving forward, like it or not, right? And we need to actually know what that all means.
Right,
so data will become part of our everyday world.
That's heavy shit.
Yes, it is. Jeez.
Wow. Data is king, they say.
Data is king.
It really is, yeah.
All right. Number 8.
Okay.
Designers are going to become experience architects in the future, okay? They're going to be in charge of multi-sensory, interactions, not just one, not just two, okay? Think about it. You're not going to be just in charge of making a single pixel, move or creating, a logo or you're not pushing pixels on an individual basis. Okay.
Right.
You're going to be expected to direct an entire environment. Okay. Because again, that environment and how people interact with that brand and environment will end up merging and becoming part of the designer's job. Okay.
Right.
Already, they're calling them experienced designers. Okay. But we've done that here in our agency several times for companies. And I suspect that as the world blows up in the future, so will the designer's role, and experience will come underneath the designer's role, right underneath the graphic designer, just like everything else. Yeah. So being in charge of all these multi-sensory, whether it's, you're in a room and experiencing the brand in a room, whether you're experiencing it in a headset from sound or whatever, we're going to be in charge of all these different senses working together to deliver that experience for the brand. I know it sounds a little crazy. It's a little high.
That's like some fucking.
I know. It's
Stanley Kubrick shit.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
It is really Stanley Kubrick. That's for sure. But again, huge opportunity, and I can see it going that way because I can see more and more of these kinds of experiences happening.
Yeah.
And who's going to be in charge of it? Yeah. They're going to hire a decorator?
Right.
They're going to hire a designer to do it.
Or again, one of the things that we saw before is like you've got a web team and you've got a UX team, and you know what I mean? Like everything is so parsed out. But if you can do all of that, if you're the Swiss Army knife of the new era,
well, I absolutely think that a designer's role in the future is going to be multidisciplinary.
And that was my point.
It has to be multidisciplinary because we are going to be in charge of so many different elements.
Yes.
And if it's siloed out into separate teams, okay, we won't be able to do the brand justice.
Exactly.
Okay. And what better way to do it than being able to curate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's actually the next one, number 9.
There we go.
Creator.
There we go.
From creator to curator.
Yeah.
Okay. A designer's role is going to be stepping back and being that maestro.
Right.
Okay. To the symphony, to the brand symphony.
Right.
We are going to have to take, a bigger, picture view of the entire brand landscape and make sure it's all aligned to play this beautiful, concerto.
Yes. No bad notes.
Right. No bad notes. Right. But seriously, we're not just going to have to worry about 1 or 2, designed options. We're going to have to worry about 100 of these things working together, saying the same message, doing what has helped our agency out, okay, as in when we go in and we align brands, but now we're going to have to do that across platforms and across, different experiences. And again, a company won't have the ability to do that unless they hire, this person in there. And maybe their brand manager is going to end up being, an AI robot that's going to manage this, but they still can't manage all the offsite experiences.
Yeah.
So it's going to be more valuable for a company to hire a designer to be able to completely, manage and master this entire brand.
Yes.
Which then brings me to the last thing that I suspect, okay, will be, part of the designer's job in the future, okay? The designer brand relationship will become more embedded than it is right now. So right now, generally brand and designers work very separate, and one just kind of barks to the other what to do. And there's often fights over, bones and shit like that. But problem is brands are going to be having to move so fast in the future to keep up with everything. So that role is going to become so close, it might become embedded into the one. And designers are going to have to act as brand ambassadors because companies aren't going to have time to worry about, layers of approvals and waiting for things to actually, go down the chain and be like, yep, it's going to go.
Yeah.
Companies are going to rely on the designers to act as the brand ambassadors. And that's why those two worlds are going to have to be embedded. We already do for several of our customers, right? And we're in charge of their brand on social, on digital, on print, and we're bringing it all together, make sure it's cohesive. Well, now imagine if you throw in all these extra elements in the future, okay? We would still be in charge of doing that. So we would be superpowered to this, okay? So again, they want designers who get their brand and who can act on behalf of their brand so they can worry about growing the company, not necessarily micromanaging all those items. So these are just 10 high-level ideas that I strongly feel is what design in the future is going to be about. Okay. And this is why designers need to realize that the shit that we're doing right now is nowhere near the stuff that we're going to be in charge of in the future.
Yeah. That's absolutely crazy. Yeah. Wow.
So in order to keep up with all this shit, okay, in order for us to keep evolving, it's one thing to just talk about all these things, right? But it's like, what are the necessary skills that we're going to need
to get there? Yes. Yeah.
And I hate those presentations that always talk about the problem
and never say anything about the solution.
Biggest pet peeve, right? So again, not that 100% have the solution here, but I do think that the future designer's skill stack, okay, has to change. Okay. And I've broken it down into hard skills and to soft skills.
Nice.
Okay. For us to go through. Yeah. So, soft skills, okay. A lot of the soft skills that we already have will transition into the future.
Yeah.
Okay. We're talking about strategic thinking. We're constantly harping on the importance of strategic thinking, right? You need to be able to see the bigger picture, know the brand, okay? Know the business, know the buyer, right?
Yeah.
This is going to help you now in business and elevate you to a whole new level. So in the future, this is going to be a very critical thing for all designers to embrace. Okay. Creative direction. Okay. We're going to need to be able to take the lead on projects.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to have to, direct,
Yeah.
not design anymore. Okay. And we need to be able to make calls when we do, set the direction, see the vision, and kind of make sure that everything goes in that direction.
Yeah.
This will be something that we have to, embrace. Okay. And the ones who are doing it now, already succeeding.
Are ahead of the
So the ones in the future, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Communication. Okay.
Yes.
We need to be incredible at communicating because nothing is worse than not being able to communicate the message properly, the design properly, what your intentions were, right? Communication is going to be massive, right? You need to be able to pitch. You need to be able to write. You need to be able to prompt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And so communication is a huge soft skill that, if you don't already have, you better work on that shit. Okay. Obviously adaptability, okay, is every designer's best friend. Okay. Because we have to adapt to new technology, new media. There's so much that we have to adapt to on an ongoing basis that the more fluid that we can go and still kind of, float with everything, the stronger we're going to be as designers.
Yeah.
Of course, initiative, we've always talked about this. You can sit back and just, take your time. But people pay attention. They pay notice to this, okay? So you need to take initiative to go to that next step, right? And actually push yourself, push your customer, push your brand. Otherwise, you're going to be overlooked. Done, okay?
Yeah.
Collaboration, okay? You have to know how to, work with other people because right now it's a big thing to work with us, production, copywriters, but in the future, it's going to be with devs. It's going to be with, AI experts. It's going to be on so many AI tools. Okay. You're going to have to work with AI tools as though they are a person. Okay. So there's so much collaboration that has to happen. And most importantly, okay, as a soft skill, you have to be able to tell stories and persuade through those stories.
There you go.
Okay, because you think this shit's important now? In the future, this is going to be so critical for designers to be able to control and master. Because as designers, we're not going to be, making all those tweaks like we are now. Okay. Hard skills, that's a whole other thing in the future.
Animal,
and that's going to change. That's the biggest change.
This will be difficult. Yeah.
Well, for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Like number one hard skill, I hate to say this, but you need to have a level of AI proficiency. Okay. And like it or not, it's here and it is going to be our job to embrace and learn. If you guys haven't already started learning how to use ChatGPT, how to use Midjourney, how to use Firefly, you're already way behind. Not just a little bit, but way behind, okay? You need to know how these tools work. You need to be paying attention to what these tools are doing, the pace that they're moving, and how to integrate them with your work. Because the client's expectations are that you already are using these.
Yes.
They might not want you to brag about them.
Yeah.
But they all know it exists.
Exactly.
And they're kind of expecting that we're already using this stuff. Okay. But other skills, you need to understand brand system design.
Right.
Okay. We've already talked about, how the future is going to change and, one logo is going to end up in 100 different places. Well, what about like the corp ID systems? What about maybe not the logo, but maybe the pattern that goes along with it or the color usage or how elements of that logo or elements of that brand show up in other areas. Okay. A hard skill that you have to learn is you have to understand, the entire brand architecture, not just the logo.
Yeah.
So that's a hard skill that you have to learn. Okay. Yeah. It's to your advantage to learn no code tools. Okay. Yeah. And again, you don't have to be a programmer, but right now, it's questionable how much programming a designer is going to need to know in the future. I mean, Wix Studio already lets you build a website without even having an ounce of code.
Yeah.
I mean, our e-commerce site is 100% Wix Studio.
Nice.
And I couldn't have built that.
Yeah.
And I would have had to, bring in 2 programmers, one for the front end, one for the back end.
Yeah.
Well, if I didn't, if I didn't have Wix Studio.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have to, bring in 2 programmers to do this for me.
Yeah.
I hate to say, not just that, but then also the payment processor and that's
difficult.
It's all happening for me under one roof, okay? And I don't know a single line of code. I don't have to write a single line of code. So programs like Wix Studio, they help you launch an idea without the need of a dev team. So get on that. And if you have to, get on Wix Studio, for damn it.
Yes.
Especially because they're a sponsor. But, you're going to have to understand motion and micro interactions, okay, as a hard skill.
Okay.
Because again, we've already talked about the importance of logos becoming, motion logos. tools.
Yeah.
But that's just barely scratching the surface. Okay. Logos, brands, they're going to be interactive in the future. Everything from when you tap to pay for something to, like when you're walking down the street to how it shows up on your VR glasses, how it shows up on your phone. Like all this static digital shit that you're looking at right now.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but it's all going to start turning into motion.
Wow.
And it's to your advantage to understand how to do this. You're going to have to understand, 3D, how 3D worlds work, how 3D, how to program things in 3D, no code, of course, but also how that lives in an augmented reality world, whether it's through glasses, whether it's through, like a QR code or scanning over a packaged item, because again, this expectation is going to exist in the future. And so you're going to have to learn programs like Spline, Blender, Adobe Aero, like we talked about, Sean, right? You're going to have to figure out how to get your ideas into this virtual space. Okay. Content creation. Okay. This is a straightforward. You're going to, if you haven't already figured out how to create reels, how to create carousels, how to actually build out, a set of socials that actually tell a story or, a set of items, that go out on a direct mail piece. Well, this is up to you to figure this stuff out. But content creation is going to be a hard skill that is going to be 100% demanded.
Yeah.
People won't have patience to hire it out to one person and then take it from one person, give it to a second person, have it designed, then take it from the second person, have it sent over to production.
That sounds expensive.
It sounds expensive. And it also sounds like it takes a long time.
Exactly.
So if one person come in and be like, guess what? I can do it all for you. I can write it. I can design it. I can produce it for you.
Yep.
That's who they're going with.
Yeah,
all right.
Exactly.
And last but not least, a hard skill that we're going to have to learn is, as designers, if you don't already understand UX and data literacy, this is a critical part because, like I said, I guarantee you that it is going to be a very big part of our creative briefs to understand the data that we're getting, okay, and understand user patterns based on that data. And this isn't just website flow, okay, but we're talking from how people act when they get a direct mail piece, how they act, from a CTA in a social post, that you're sending out. People are going to pay attention to the people who understand these interactions.
Right.
And again, ultimately, customers are going to be expecting a one-stop shop. And why shouldn't they?
Yeah.
They're expecting a full service agency experience. And with the tools that are available right now, there's no reason why designers can't do this.
Exactly.
And can't do it easily.
Yep.
You don't have to be a UX expert. Get into chat and chat will teach you everything and answer every question you want to know. Upload a website, it'll actually comment on that and it will tell you what you need to fix and what you don't do. Are there better ways to do it? Absolutely there are. But if you don't know how to do it at all, it's a hell of a big head start.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these are, this is just some of the shit that's going to be happening in the future.
Some of the shit.
This is just some of the shit that's going to be happening. But I mean, honestly, we can record this episode. This shit's going to be real and our world is going to change. And it doesn't mean design is going to go to shit. Okay. In some ways, it's going to be more exciting.
Yeah.
Think about everything that we love about flat is now going to become real.
Yeah.
And we get to interact.
And that is kick-ass. That is a
cool as hell
level.
Can you imagine like a 20-foot Helvetica letter in front of you? Oh my God, I just want to go up and hug that thing.
To touch Helvetica. Oh, that'd be awesome.
It's true though.
Yeah,
This is what design will look like in the future. And design is going to be more interactive in the future than we've ever expected it to be.
Yeah.
And for the designers who don't, or haven't jumped on this or are still waiting to, I mean, you know what? You guys are already behind. So you need to learn these hard skills. You need to understand. You've already got the soft skills. You just got to amp them up.
Yeah.
And again, you need to find new ways of leveling up your game because the game that you have now, okay, that you've learned and has got you from here, whether you're just out of school or whether you've been in this space for the past 20 years, is not going to take us into the future. Okay. And we need to level up ourselves. We need to level our game. We need to get our hard skills, up to check. We need to sharpen our soft skills.
Keep those soft skills.
And honestly, I think the design in the future is going to be awesome, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that 100%.
Cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's
wow.
pretty cool.
Oh. That's a lot of shit for me to learn now.
On a good note, I still think we have like a good 5 to 10 years.
Oh, thank
before
God.
we're forced to it.
Okay, good.
And in all fairness, I think that under the agency umbrella, okay, as long as the agency evolves to keep up to speed, you know, the old iron horses like you, Sean, are going to be good for another 20 years. You know? So you're good to go. Yo, I hope you guys got a lot of stuff out of this episode. You know, I'm pretty set on what the future of design is going to look like, but I would love to hear what you guys have to say with this. Okay, so please, you know, hit us up on our Instagram, DM me if you have to. You know, comment on our YouTube channel and interact with us because, again, I love learning what other people have to say what the future looks like.
Yeah,
I'm pretty excited what the future of design is like, and I'd like to know what everybody else is thinking too.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah.
My name is Massimo.
My name is Sean.
Stay creative.
Stay angry.
And stay future design friendly. Peace.